Hello everyone, my name is James Williams Jr. I'm about to go to bed, but before I go, I want to talk about Stan Lee. And this picture's from TMZ. I'm not going to play the video, but I am going to show you guys Stan Lee while I talk. Hopefully I got this thing leveled off to where you guys can see him. Okay. So, we have Stan Lee. Stan the Man Lee. Grandmaster of why most people like me, who had no friends in school, who was bullied in high school, bullied in grade school, bullied in middle school. And if not for Stan Lee, I would have never learned how to read. I would have never learned how to dream. And none of my heroes would ever have seen the big screen. It's a lot that I can really say about Stan Lee. I don't know the man personally, but I kind of know the man personally because he's been in my life for decades. If not for Stan Lee, I would have never learned how to read. If not for Spider-Man, I would have never knew about the X-Men. Spider-Man started off as a good fit for me. Although my first comic experience was in DC Comics, Stan Lee won me over with Spider-Man, the X-Men, the original Guardians of the Galaxy, the New Warriors, Silver Sable, Punisher. The list goes on and on. One of my dreams as an independent filmmaker, as an actor, was to work and be one of his characters. The sad, unfortunate truth is that there aren't a lot of mixed characters in Marvel or DC, so I don't really have a lot of representation of me in the comics or on TV screen, being that I'm part Native American as well as black and white. That's neither here or there. The fact of the matter is that this man in front of you, Stan Lee, is a hero. He is one of my heroes, the second hero to actually don the last name Lee. Y'all know who the first hero is. He's Chinese. That also is neither here or there. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up in high school, mostly because of me being mixed and being an oddball and a comic book geek. And they have no idea the joys that comic books brought to me. Comic books have saved me from suicide plenty of times. No, comic books have also had life lessons in there. And life lessons go a long way. If Stan Lee had not made the X-Men, I wouldn't be able to read. I probably would have ended my life many, many years ago, but the X-Men pulled me through. A specific story in one of the X-Men books was when one man can make a difference, or something like that. And in the comic book, it was connected to the Days of Future Past, I think. I won't swear to it because everything's been retconned, so it doesn't really matter. But in the comic book, somebody went through time and they killed Xavier, so the X-Men were never born. Or were never created because it was killed before Xavier Magneto ever had a chance to make the team. Now, I'm not sure if this was an X-Men episode now that I think about it. It could have been a what if or a what the. Because those are also good books if you're a Marvel fan, and I wish that Marvel would bring it back. Hell, give me a job, Marvel, writing what ifs and what the. I need a job. Anyway, maybe a TV show about what if and what the. You hear me, Netflix? Anyway, which is also not here or there. Stan Lee has touched so many of us on so many levels, and especially me, because when I hit the second grade, I realized two things. When I grow up, I wanted to be Spider-Man. The fact that my color might have been a problem, but you know, when you're a child, you don't see color. But I really wanted to be Spider-Man. And not the one where he's an outlaw, but where he actually does help the police and all the other stuff. And not the Japanese version because I really like robots, but Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Then, which was also on TV, both the American version and the Japanese version. I watched them both. Japanese version had a little bit more kick because he had robots. But anyway, Spider-Man led me down a path because I was essentially Peter Parker, just not brilliant with chemicals and stuff like that. And there were no radioactive spiders in my neighborhood. That was my escape, half breed this, yellow boy that. I go throw my books down, do my homework, pop open a comic book, just like you adults would have a cold beer. I would pop open a comic book and I would travel into faraway lands and places where no one judged me. No one picked on me because I was mixed. No one laughed at me because I couldn't read as well as the other people. And I could swing through the air and capture bad guys. My first X-Men book was New Mutants 10, I think. And New Mutants 10, I think, was a spinoff from when Ileana and Kitty were transitioning from being basically X-Men to more New Mutants. And New Mutants dug deeper into how Ileana went from being a 7-year-old child to spending 7 years in limbo and coming back out as a 14-year-old teenage girl with a soul sword. I've been on so many adventures, and every book always presented himself as, "Hello, true believers. This is Stan Lee. And today I bring you a story about the amazing superheroes born into this world with an X-Factor gene that gives them supernatural powers. Their powers cannot be taken away. Their powers were controlled by emotions. And I discovered that I was more of an X-Man than Spider-Man." As time went on, the X-Men became outlaws versus heroes, but they were still heroes, they were just outlaws. And then I got into the Guardians of the Galaxy with Vance Astro. And then I fell in love with Spider-Man's love interest, Silver Sable. And I got all of her books until the cancelization. I fell in love with the Punisher, Francis Castle. Yes, it's a dude. But the stories, man, the stories swept me off my feet. The stories made me want to live month to month and save up every dime I could get to go spend $1.75, 50 cents, 25. Talk my father into buying me these awesome ass toys. And comic books and toys became my only friends. And Stan Lee. Welcome, true believers, to the Marvel Universe of the 616, where the humans and the mutants can live together in peace and harmony. Excelsior! Stan Lee taught us new words inside his stories. Excelsior being one that I had to go to a dictionary to find out what it meant. Because it's like, is it a real word? And yes, it actually is a real word. Excelsior is in the dictionary. Stan Lee was probably the heart of Marvel. Through the 70s, well, let me rewind. Through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, when he kind of left Marvel after that. However, his golden age for me was the 70s and 80s and 90s. Those were my favorite years of the X-Men. They were going in the direction I wanted them to go in. By the early 2000s, X-Men started going in a different direction, and Marvel itself started going in a different direction. But however, any book that had Stan Lee in there was more than worth its weight in gold for me in reading. I wasn't a big Ghost Rider fan. I read it. I was okay with the Night Stalkers. For those who don't know who the Night Stalkers are, that was Morbius, Blade, and Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider. And every now and again you got a little sidekick in with Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. Stan Lee, there aren't enough words or enough time to really put down what he meant to me. Not just to the Marvel Universe, but to me. Stan Lee has done amazing amazing work in the Marvel Comics. And I just want to thank him, because if it wasn't for him, I would not learn how to read. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be alive today because of the bullying and how bad I was picked on. And if it wasn't for him, I'm not showing you guys my face because I'm trying my best to fight back tears. If it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be if I hadn't learned how to read comics. And on that note, if it wasn't for Jack Kirby and Scott Ditka and others who have passed before him, and Bob Kane for Batman, and the two guys that wrote Superman, I can't pronounce their names, but y'all know who they are if you're a diehard Superman fan. But Stan Lee stands out. Not because his name is Stan Lee and that was a pun. Stan Lee stands out because it was simple to remember. He always had his acknowledgments in the back of the books. If you guys ever read the back of the books, and he always ended it with my favorite phrase that I've been saying since middle school. I usually only said it at home. Never really to my friends because I didn't really have that many. But at the end of damn near every Marvel comic book, there was one phrase that we will say to end this video. So first to you, Stan Lee, thank you. May your journey from the 616 to the 414-521, the world of the Watchers, I think. I might have said the wrong coordinates. It's been a long time since I picked up a Marvel comic. Plus, again, everything's been retconned. Excelsior, Stan Lee. Excelsior. You have done all of us comic fans a great service, and you have been a blessing. Thank you for teaching me how to read. And to end this with an X-Men live and enough said. Thank you, Stan Lee. And thank you all for watching. I'm James Williams Jr.'s Cover number 2. Enough said.